Alright, here is Math 3 Fall 10-week mock exam. So, for number 1, this one's multiplying complex numbers. So what we're going to do first is we're going to multiply -1 to each one of these. And we're going to multiply -4i to each one of these. So, I still have -7i still there. And then when you guys multiply, you're going to get -1 times -1, which is just 1. -1 times I, which is -i. And then you guys are going to have -4i times -1 for +4i, and -4i times I, which is -4i to the second power. Okay, so still going to equal -7i, and we're going to have 1 minus I plus 4i minus 4 times -1, because remember, right, an I squared is equal to -1. So since we had an I squared there, that's going to change from I squared to -1, which is why we're going to multiply. So this is all going to equal 1 minus I plus 4i plus 4. And then when you guys take a look, right, I'll just highlight it. This 4 is like terms with that 1. And these two in the middle are like terms. So we're going to have -7i. 1 plus 4 is going to be 5, and -i plus 4i is +3i. And then we are going to distribute that. So -7i times that one, and -7i times that one. So we're going to get -35i minus 21i squared. But remember, I squared, right, is -1. So -35i minus 21 times -1, which is going to give us -35i plus 21 as our final answer, which means that one is going to be this one, C. All right, number 2. This is where you guys have to multiply by the conjugate. So we are going to have 4. Remember, the conjugate is the opposite of only the imaginary number. So plus 6i. Opposite of -6i is +6i. And up top, we write the same thing. And then this is where we have to distribute again. So that and that you gotta distribute. And then this one and this one you guys have to distribute. And on the bottom portion, we have 4 times that 4 and 4 times that 6i. And then we have -6i times that one and 6i times that one. Okay, so on the top, -5 times 4 is going to be -20. -5 times 6i is going to be -30i. -5i, we're on the red pathway now. -5i times 4 is -20i. And -5i times 6i is going to give you -30i squared. All over, now look at your green pathway, right? 4 times 4 is going to give you 16. 4 times 6i is going to give you +24i. Now we're on the orange pathway. -6i times 4 is -24i. And -6i times 6i is -36i squared. Now, remember, right, both our I squares becomes negative. So -20 minus 30i minus 20, just rewriting it, minus 30, and then remember, I squared is -1. All over 16 plus 24i minus 24i minus 36 times negative 1. Okay, now let's simplify that. Negative 20 minus 30i minus 20i plus 30 all over 16 plus 24i minus 24i plus 36. Okay, now let's collect like terms. I'll do it all in different color. This one, collect like terms with that one. These two collect like terms. This one, collect like terms with that one. And lastly, these two collect like terms. Alright, negative 20 plus 30, that's going to be 10. Negative 30i minus 20i is negative 50i. And 16 plus 36 is 52. And then notice 24i minus 25 is just 0. So we have 10 minus 50i over 52. Lastly, I see that 10, negative 50, and 52 can all be divisible by 2. So we're going to divide top and bottom by 2. And we're going to get 10 divided by 2, which is 5. Negative 50 divided by 2, which is negative 25i. And 52 divided by 2 is 26. So there's your guys' final answer for that one. And it looks like that one's D. Okay, moving on. Number 3. So with number 3, we have to, whenever you guys solve for a quadratic formula, you gotta set it equal to 0. So that means we have to subtract 2x squared from both sides. That's gonna give us 9x squared minus 6x from both sides. That's gonna give us plus 6x and plus 1 from both sides, and we're gonna get plus 8, and all of that's gonna equal to 0. Okay, so we have our A, our B, and our C value. And now we can do quadratic formula. So quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So x is going to equal our negative b, which is negative 6, plus or minus b squared for us is 6 squared, so it's going to be 36, minus 4 times a times our c value, which is 8, all over 2 times our a value, which is 9. Negative 6 plus or minus 36 minus 9 times 8 times 4, well, 72 times 4, 288. All over 2 times 9, which is 18. Okay, moving along, x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus radical negative 252 all over 18. Now, we gotta simplify that negative radical, or we have to simplify the radical negative 252. So x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus radical 252i. Remember to get rid of that negative sign on the inside of the radical, you just take an I on the outside. All over 18. Now we gotta simplify that radical 252. So radical 252, that's 2 times 252, divide that by 2, 1, 2, 0, 5, 2, 4, 1, 2, 6. So 2 times 126, 2 times 63, that 63 is going to be 9 and 7, and that 9 is 3 and 3. Okay, so this is a pair and that's a pair, so remember those get to come on the outside and the radical on the inside is the leftover 7. So 7, so simplification of that, you guys, is 6 radical 7 for 252. So back over to this portion, we're gonna have x is equal to negative 6 plus or minus 6i radical 7 all over 18. And I see that top and bottom can both be divisible by 6. So x equals -1 plus or minus I radical 7 all over 3. And the answer to that one, you guys, is C. Alright, number 4. Same type of deal, so I'm gonna make this block off. Okay, so add 8x squared to both sides, right? Because gotta set the equation equal to 0, so we're gonna have 3x squared. Add 8x to both sides. And that's gonna give us 9x, and then minus 6 all equals 0. Here's our a value, our b value, our c value. So now quadratic formula time. X equals -b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so now substitute. X is going to equal -9 plus or minus our b squared is going to be 9 because 3 squared is 9 minus 4 times 3 times -6 all over 2 times 3. X is equal to -9 plus or minus 9, so 24. 4 times 3 is 12, and then times 6, that's going to give us 6 times 1, 72. So plus 72 all over 6. And we're going to get... Hold on, did I do something? Oh, I did do something, my bad. Okay, so if you guys follow, I'm gonna do this over again, because I made a mistake. So you have x equals -9 plus or minus, our b squared is 9, our b value is 9, so 9 to the second power is 81, that's where I goofed. 4 times our a times our c all over 2 times 3. Okay, now here we go. -9 plus or minus 81 plus 72 all over 6. And we're going to get x is equal to -9 plus or minus square root of 153 all over 6. Now we got to simplify that radical 153. So rad 153, that's going to be 3 times 51, and that's 3 times 17. So I find a pair, right? So 3 radical 17 is a simplification. So x is going to equal -9 plus or minus 3 radical 17 over 6. I notice that top and bottom can be divisible by 3. So we're going to get x is equal to -9, -3 plus or minus radical 17 all over 2. The only option for that one seems to be A, so the answer is A. Okay, so there's that one, and I'm actually going to shrink this so that we have room for the next problem. What the? Please, 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 shrink. Oh. Alright, now let's go on to factoring. Okay, for factoring, first, number 5, I noticed that I could factor out a 4x from both. Now, notice you guys, if you can't see it originally, look at our answers, right? All of them are being factored by 4x, so that should give you guys a hint if you can't see it at first. Factor 4x from both, so then we're going to get 8x to the third, plus 500 divided by 4 is 125. Now, I noticed that both of these are cube rootable, which automatically makes me think of this formula. A cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So in order to get my a value, all I have to do is just take the cube root of our first one, which is this one. So cube root of that one is 2x. And we have to take the cube root of that one, which is 5. So b is going to equal to 5. Okay, now we're just going to follow the formula. So 4x times, so our a plus b is going to be our 2x plus 5. Our a squared is going to be 2x squared, which is 4x squared. Our a times b is 2x times 5, which is 10x, so we're going to get negative 10x. And our b squared is 5 squared, which is plus 25. So our answer is, not D, it is C. Also notice too, you guys, since you have 2x and 5 as your a and b, and since you know it's going to be 2x plus 5, notice that you could have automatically eliminated a and d, and really you just have to debate between b and c. But whenever you guys have this formula right here, notice that you're not really ever going to get something to the third, which is why we can also cross that one off as well. Okay, number 6. Now, right, I could factor out a 2 from all these, so 2 times 25b squared, because, right, 50 divided by 2 is 25, 60 divided by 2 is plus 30b, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now, just from that step, right, you can automatically tell you guys are going to eliminate that one, because it doesn't have a 2 there. Next, we have to factor this. So remember, you guys take your first one and see the factors 5 and 5, or it has to be 1 and 25, and for this 9 it has to be 3 and 3, or 1 and 9. So 2 times. Now I taught you guys to find the combination, right? But firstly notice, right, this first one, the only combinations are 5, 5, and 1 and 25 for the first slots. And when I look at the answers, I see that this one doesn't have a 5b, or this one's not 5b. So it's probably D. But remember, problems are going to be mixed up on the test, so you should at least know how to do this already too. So I'm going to guess 5b and 5b as my first slots. Now I have to think of which combination of these I'm going to select. Now remember, whatever I select, these outer ones plus these inner ones will give you guys your middle term. So I'm noticing that if I do a plus 3 here and a plus 3 here, 5b times 3 is going to be 15, and 5b times 3 will also give us 15. So 15 plus 15 is 30, and that gives us a positive 30. So I know that's our factor, so it's going to be 2 times 5b plus 3 to the second power, which is D. Okay, number 7. Now when you guys factor this one, first off, I see that's just 1 and 1. So when you guys make up your factors, you know it's going to be x to the 4th times x to the 4th, because x to the 4th times x to the 4th will give you guys your x to the 8. Now your factors of 9, right, which is 1 and 9, or 3 and 3. So you guys have to think of what combination of these are going to give you negative 10. And the only option is 1 and 9, and negative 1 and negative 9. So, right, just starting off from there, I could automatically see that we can eliminate A, and I could automatically see we can eliminate D. And B, because look, x4 plus 9. But again, you guys should check to make sure that you're doing this correctly. So let's find the factors of this. So this is where you guys do your formula of a squared minus b squared, your difference of squares, and that's a plus b times a minus b. So this only happens when you see two terms, right, or a binomial, and both of them are square rootable. So for this one and this one, I know these are both square rootable, so a is going to equal x squared, and this one's going to be b is going to equal to 1. square root, right? For this one, I noticed that both of these are square rootable, right? So square root of x to the fourth is x squared, and square root of 9 is going to be 3. So now apply these to this formula, right? So we're going to have x squared plus 1, x squared minus 1, and for the other one, x squared plus 3, and x squared minus 3. And I also noticed you guys could use another square rootable one for that one as well. Difference of squares. So a is going to equal to x and b is going to equal to 1. Which means your guys' final answer, if you factor this all the way down, will be x plus 1, x minus 1, x squared plus 3, x squared minus 3. And that's going to be C. And number 8, first of all, I see, right, if you guys look at there, a lot of them looks like they're factoring by 5, and this one also. So I'm going to factor a 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12, p to the third. 20 divided by 5 is 4, p squared. 75 divided by 5 is 15, p, and 25 divided by 5 is 5. And you can automatically eliminate that one, right? Because we factor out a 5, and that one, there is no factoring of 5 for that one. Alright, so since we have 4 terms, this is factoring by grouping. So we gotta group this one, and we gotta group that one. So we are gonna get that first grouping IC, we can factor out a 4p squared. So 4p squared, which is 3p plus 1. And from this other one right here, you can factor out a negative 5. Negative 5 out of 3p plus 1. And right, when we group these, we're going to have 4p squared minus 5 from that and that. And for the other grouping, it's going to be the 3p plus 1. And our answer seems to be D. So, also too, there's other ways you guys can go about this, right? Like for example, when we look at number 6, this one, you guys, when we look at that one, notice how like negative 3 times 3 is negative 9, so it won't give you 18. Oh, what the? Also too, right? Negative 4 squared, 16. And then 16 times 2 is that, which won't give you that. And then, yeah. There's other ways you guys can go about this too. For example, for this one, right? 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, that's not going to give you guys negative 25. 1 times negative 5 times 5, that's possible because negative 5 times 5 will give you negative 25. Just other ways that you guys can go about it by using multiple choice strategies. Alright, let's take a look at this one. So, when you guys look at this one, you guys have to find your your vertex. These are all in standard form. This is in standard form, and number 10 is also in standard form. Okay, so first off, right, if it's negative, right, that means it's going to be down, down, sad face. And for this one too, it's going to be negative, so that means it's a sad face. Okay, now, right, when you guys take a look at these, this one is not a sad face, that one's not a sad face, that one's not a sad face, and that one's not a sad face. So all we're left with is those. Now, let's find the vertex, right? X equals negative b over 2a. Well, I'll label these. Okay, A, B, C, A, B, C. So our b is negative 6, so negative of negative 6 over 2 times negative 1, 6 over negative 2, which is negative 3. Now let's just find a vertex that has a negative 3. A looks good and C does not, so eliminate C, and the answer is A. For number 10, same thing. X is equal to negative b over 2a. Our b value is negative 12, so negative of negative 12 over 2, and then our a is negative 2. That's going to be 12 over negative 4, which is negative 3. So the ones that are sad face, that are negative 3, looks like to be C. So it's going to be that one. Okay. We're moving along. Okay, so this one's in vertex form. Both of these are in vertex form. So to get the vertex, when it's in vertex form, your x-coordinate is the opposite of that value. So since that's 1, the opposite of 1 is negative 1. And your y-coordinate for your vertex is that one, which is just 1. And then for this one, the vertex for this one, opposite of that one with the arrow, that is, so opposite of negative 1 is 1, and we just take that one for your y-coordinate of the vertex, which is just 1. Now, I noticed for 11, it is positive, so that means it's going to be a happy face. And for number 12, it is a negative, so that means it's going to be a sad face. So, for 11, I'm just eliminating all the ones that sad faces, and then the one that's negative 1 comma 1 looks to be A. 12, sad faces galore, so C and D are gone, those are happy, and then 1 comma 1 looks to be A. So there are those. Alright, so that first half, you guys, was from the first 5 weeks. Now here comes the next half, the most recent 5 weeks. Okay, so we have function composition. So remember, for this one, it's h of g of t. So our g of t is t squared minus 5t, so h of t squared minus 5t. That's our g of t. Now, we plug this into our h function, and then wherever we see a t in the h function, it's now t squared minus 5t. So, there's a t there, and there's a t there. So we're going to have ht squared minus 5t is equal to t squared minus 5t minus 3. And can't simplify that, so there's your answer. So that looks like B. Okay, for this one's h of g of negative 6. Now we gotta go find g of negative 6. So g of negative 6 is equal to, so substitute or plug in negative 6 into our g function. So it's negative 6 minus 4, which is negative 10. So g of negative 6 is negative 10. So that means over here, h of negative 10. Now we can just substitute that into our h function. So negative 10 squared plus 1 plus 2 times negative 10. That's 100 plus 1 minus 20, which simplifies to 81. And it's A. Alright, number 15. Okay, so let's talk about possible number of real zeros first, you guys. So in order to find a possible number of real zeros, you basically take the highest power, and then you keep on subtracting 2, and then if it gets to negative, then you pretty much stop. So for example, I see that this highest degree is 3. So my possible zero is 3. The next one would be, now you take your highest your degree, and then you just subtract it by 2. And that's 1. And then you cannot go further than that because, right, if you subtract 1 minus 2, that's going to be negative 1, which is bad. So that can't be a possible number of real zeros. So our possible number of real zeros are 3 and 1. Again, just take your highest degree, keep on subtracting 2, and those are all the possible number of real zeros until you get to negative numbers. So you know your possible real numbers are 3 and 1. Now it says possible rational zeros, so just find your p's and q's. So here's your p, there's your q. P over q is equal to plus or minus 1 over plus or minus 1, 2, 4, and 8. Remember, it's all the possible factors of those. And then it's going to be plus or minus 1 all over, so 1 over 1, 1 over 2, 1 over 4, and 1 over 8. So we're basically going to have plus or minus 1. 1 over 2 is 1/2, 1 over 4 is 1/4, and 1 over 8 is 1/8. So those are all our possible rational zeros. And if you guys take a look down the list, possible number of real zeros is 3 and 1. So we can eliminate that one. And then look for your guys' possible rational zeros. And the only one that matches up with that one is... Oopsies, I eliminated the wrong one. A, you can eliminate... Oh, sorry, C, from the possible number of real zeros. And then this matches up with this one. So, has to be B. 16. So, look, our highest degree is 4, right? So, 4. Now remember, keep on subtracting by 2 until you can't. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 2 minus 2 is 0, and we stop. So this is our list of possible number of real zeros, so we can automatically eliminate that D. Now to get our possible rational zeros, which is our P's and Q's. So P, Q. P over Q is going to be equal to plus or minus factors of 8, right? Which is 1, 2, 4, and 8. Factors of 5, which is just plus or minus 1 and 5. Now to get the list right, we have to do all of these ones over the purple. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 4, 8 all over 1, which is going to be plus or minus 1 over 1 is 1, 2 over 1 is 2, 4 over 1 is 4, 8 over 1 is 8. And then we got to do it for the other one, right? 1 over 5 is 1/5, 2 over 5 is 2/5, 4 over 5 is 4/5, and 8 over 5 is 8/5. So those are all our possible rational zeros. And if we take a look at this list, it looks to be the only one that could be is A. So our answer is A. Right? Look at our possible rational zeros. This matches up with this one. Okay, that one's mainly, you guys, just finding your P's over Q's and possible zeros and then matching it up. Oh, same thing. So 17, let's find our possible number of real zeros, right? Here's your pi's power, so 4, and then, right, 4 minus 2, 2, 2 minus 2, 0. Can't go anything less than that because 0 minus 2 will give you a negative number. So here's all our possible number of real zeros. Next, our P over Q list. So there's P, there's Q. Factors P over Q, factors of P are plus or minus 1 and 2. Factors of Q, which is 11, so which is plus or minus 1 and 11. So remember, it's the top, and then we're going to put them over the bottom. So we're going to have 1 over 1, which is plus or minus 1. 2 over 1, which is 2. 1 over 11, which is 1 over 11, and 2 over 11, which is 2 over 11. So here's our possible rational zeros. So let's find one that matches up with this. A looks good, possible A, and that's it. That's the only one. So A is your guys' answer because it matches up, right? Those line up together. Okay, 18. Same thing. Highest degree is 4, right? So to find your possible number of real zeros, we got 4, and then subtract. Keep on subtracting 2. 4 minus 2, 2. 2 minus 2, 0. So those are possible real zeros, so we can automatically eliminate that one, and we can eliminate that one. Now we just have to find our P over Q. So factors of P are plus or minus 1 and 2. Factors of Q is plus or minus 1 and 11. So again, it's going to be this list, you guys, on top over each one of those. So 1 over 1 is plus or minus 1. 2 over 1 is 2. 1 over 11, 1 over 11. 2 over 11, 2 11s. So the only one matches up between A and C looks to be this one, right? Those two match up. So our final answer is going to be C. Okay. All right, 19. Now, if you guys forgot about your list, here's a reminder for you guys. This is something you have to just memorize. A positive even is going to be up, up. A negative even is going to be down, down. A positive odd is going to be a down, up. And a negative odd is going to be a up, down. Okay, so when we look at 19, right, we have, since it's a standard form, remember, just look at the first one. So that one is a positive even, and it's up, up. So as x goes to infinity, f of x goes to infinity. So I'm going to eliminate that one, because look, as x goes to infinity, f of x goes to negative infinity. So that one's not it. I'm going to eliminate that one because this one, too, is not when x goes to infinity, it goes to positive infinity. So that one's not it. So we have between C and D. Next, you guys should just write this, too. As x goes to infinity, f of x goes to positive infinity. And as x goes to negative infinity, f of x will go to positive infinity. Because look at that arrow, right? As you're going left, it's going up. So that means the only option for that one is C. Alright, for 20, remember it's in standard form, so you're looking at that one. So that's going to be a negative odd. So that's going to be up and down. So, right, as x goes to infinity, which is pretty much as x is going to the right, so look at your right arrow, it's going down. So that means f of x is approaching negative infinity. As x goes to negative infinity, or as x is going to left, so look at your left arrow, that one's going up. So f of x is going towards infinity since it's going up. Now let's just see which one matches with that. Well, x going to infinity, and it's going to be negative infinity, so can't be that one. B is possible, can't be C, so now we're between B and D. Now let's look at this one. As x goes to negative infinity, f of x goes to infinity. So as x goes to negative infinity, f of x is going to infinity. So that one's eliminated, so all we're left with is D. Alright, here's number... Here's number 21 and 22. Okay, so for this one, a couple ways you guys could go about this. Well, these are zeros, right? So basically, if you guys do synthetic division knowing that these are zeros, then you shouldn't get a remainder when you try for that one. So for example, if you tried to do synthetic division with A, right, you would have 12, 13, 3, and negative 1. And I'm just going to use a negative 1. If you want to challenge yourself and use a fraction, be my guest, but I'm just going to use negative 1. Because, right, this problem's telling us those are zeros. So, 12, negative 12, 1, negative 1, 2. Well, that's not going to give us a remainder of 0, so that one's gone. Can't be that one. Let's do this one. 12, 13, negative 2, negative 1. You know a 0 is negative 1, so 12. Negative 1 times 12, negative 12. 13 times negative... 13 plus negative 12, 1. Negative 1 times 1, negative 1. Add those, negative 3. That's not going to work either. C. Be careful, right? Because you're missing a x. So that means we have to insert a placeholder, so 0x, right? So remember, 12x to the third, 13x squared, and then 0x minus 1. Drop it down, negative 12, 1, 1 times negative 1, negative 1, add those, negative 1. Oh, look at that. That was one of our zeros, which means it's going to be C, because that's one of our zeros. 22. Now for this one, right, it says one of your zeros is negative 1. So let's just do synthetic division through this stuff. So A, here's our 0, negative 1. So let's write down the coefficients. And let's see if it works. Negative 1 times 9, negative 9. Add those together, 6. 6 times negative 1, negative 6. Add those together, negative 4. That's not going to work, so it's not going to be that one. Okay, let's try this one. 9, 15, 7, and 1. 9 times negative 1, negative 9, add those, 6. 6 times negative 1, negative 6, add those, 1. 1 times negative 1, negative 1, 0. There we go. So that's one way you guys can go about doing that. Now, if you guys want to get it from scratch, these are all our zeros, right? All of these are our zeros for those problems. So in order to get those zeros, you guys can put these in polynomial form. So you have x is equal to negative 1/3, because that's 1, 0. So if you add 1/3 to both sides, you guys will get x plus 1/3. X plus 1/3 is equal to 0. And then I don't like messing with fractions, so multiply the whole thing by 3 to get rid of that fraction. And then we would get 3x plus 1. Okay, so this is one binomial. X equals negative 1, that's another 0, right? So add 1 to both sides, x plus 1 is equal to 0. So that's another binomial. And then to get the last one, x equals 1/4, so subtract 1/4 of both sides, x minus 1/4 equals 0. I don't like fractions, so multiply the whole thing by 4. 4x minus 1 equals 0, and there's our other binomial. So then, since you guys have those as your binomials, now you can multiply all of them together in order to get your polynomial. So then, again, this is how you guys would normally did it if this was like a free response question. So then, right, you would have to distribute x plus 1. 3x times 4x is 12x squared. 3x times negative 1, negative 3x. 1 times 4x, 4x. 1 times negative 1, negative 1. X plus 1. So you collect like terms. 12x squared. Negative 3x plus 4x is plus x, and then minus 1. And then lastly, you would have to distribute this piece too. So this one would be x times 12x squared is 12x to the third. Wait, I'll just do it the different colors. So x times 12x squared would be 12x to the third. X times x is plus x squared. X times negative 1, negative x. And then 1 times 12x squared is plus 12x squared. 1 times x is plus x. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. And when you guys add those all up, and sorry I didn't do it in its color so that you guys can see. 12x squared plus x minus 1. So 12x to the third plus 13x squared, that cancels minus 1. And as you guys can see, we get the same answer as for C. Now for 22, if you want to find the polynomial from scratch, x would equal negative 1/3, right? Add 1/3 to both sides. X plus 1/3 is equal to 0. And you would multiply this by 3 in order to get rid of that fraction. So 3x plus 1 equals 0. There's one binomial. And then the other one is x equals negative 1. And to get that binomial, it would be x plus 1 equals 0. Now, do you guys notice how that's a multiplicity of 2? Which means our 3x plus 1, there's 2 of them, since it's multiplicity of 2, and since this one's only multiplicity of 1. So, we would have to multiply this one out, like that, and this one like that. So we would get 3x plus 1, and then 3x times x, 3x squared, 3x times 1 plus 3x. 1 times x is plus x, 1 times 1 is 1. Collect like terms. 3x squared, 3x plus x is plus 4x, 3x, and then plus 1. And then, right, you would have to distribute this to all of these, and you would have to distribute this one to all of these. So we would get 3x times 3x squared, which is 9x to the third, 3x times 4x, which is plus 12x squared, 3x times 1, which is plus 3x. 1 times 3x squared is 3x squared, 1 times 4x is 4x, and then 1 times 1 is plus 1. So when you guys, if you add this all together, 9x to the third plus 15x squared plus 7x plus 1. Which matches up with our b value. So that's if you guys had to do it from scratch. And then lastly, for this one, you guys, remember, these are in standard form, so look at those. So that one's going to be positive, or, sorry, negative even, which is down, down. So just look at these, right? You can eliminate this one, and you can eliminate that one. And then go ahead and find your guys' y-intercept which is when x is equal to 0. So f of 0 equals, substitute 0 in for your x's now. Negative 0 to the fourth plus 2 times 0 squared minus 0 minus 1. And that's just going to give you negative 1. So you guys know 0 comma negative 1 is your y-intercept. A does not have a y-intercept of 0 comma negative 1, but C certainly does. So there's that one. 24, this is going to be a negative odd, which is up and then down. So when you guys look at your graph, that one is gone, and then that one is gone. So really we just have B or C. So then for this one, you guys find your y-intercept again, which is when x is equal to 0. So substitute 0 in for your guys' x's. We got negative 0 to the fifth plus 4 times 0 to the third minus 5 times 0 plus 3, and that's just going to give you guys 3, which is 0 comma 3. So look for the one that's 0 comma 3, not B, so it is C. Alright, hopefully this helps you guys. Please, please, please look at this video, and you guys just do your very best, okay? Alright, I'll see you guys later.